Hi everyone, Paul Morbid here, Morbid Team Entertainment. Okay, so the Canon 310 XL. Why am I showing you this camera? Well, of course that I've got to go over and I'm continuing to work on it again. And what is taking so long? Well, again, one thing, I'm a PWD, person with disability, and it takes me a while to complete some things. Alright? But the real reason this time I'm showing you this camera is, do a lot of people have an interest in it? Is it a popular Super 8? Yes, it is. And that is because of the clarity of the lens for a low price Super 8 camera. However, in another edition of the what I call a glass camera, and this camera definitely is it, whatever you do, don't drop it. The cover is extremely thin. Okay, so you see this plastic as I turn it and bend it. Alright, if you're just getting started out into Super 8 and or that you're a student filmmaker, you don't know much about these cameras, a lot of Canon 310 XL and users enjoy the clarity of the lens, but the body is really flimsy. And again, to me, I purchase cameras that operate great mechanically. Is this camera inside mechanically pretty sound? Yeah, it is. Okay. The zoom power has to be replaced, and that's pretty much of a simple repair in there. All right. However, the door, when you open it up, is the same way. Take a look. See how flimsy that is? Okay, you can just bend that really easy. You can hear it. You can see the low quality of it. The operation inside, the construction is quite sound, pretty much. All right, there's the gate, as most everyone knows, except for those who don't. I do like the locking mechanism, which is easily to be pulled back, closed, and lock it that way instead of snapping it shut, to avoid breaking anything here. It's just another version of low quality. Now this is metal, but in time it's going to wear out. You keep using it a lot. Here is the issue of snapping this thing back and forth shut rather than pulling it back. This can get wear and tear on it. Now it's lasted so many years, but you don't know how the user treated it before, if they used the camera a lot, if they used it a little. Okay? The main issue here, and you can look at my previous video, or videos, is the lens construction. This is where, although it's very clear, and this is why a lot of people get this camera, okay, it's just really cheaply constructed. It's a low-end camera. It may not be sold or marketed as a low-end camera, but indeed it is. Again, check out my previous videos for the lens mechanism construction, where I was showing you that I had one part of this and I was telling you it was going to crumble, and then later on I showed you it just finally crumbled in my hands. Because what you want to do is, there is a place in America that overhauls these cameras, okay, and that is the best thing to have done before you film with it. You can also line the bottom of your filming set area with a pad, a big pad, so in case you drop this thing for any reason, then hopefully you're saved. Because the first place any of these cameras, what I call glass cameras, the impact is going to destroy first is the lens system. Here the glass element is in a container situation. Okay, you have some metal clasps here. So what you want to do is you want to have this part 3D printed. Therefore, whatever mistakes you make to your camera, your persons, are all on you. Provided that you intend to take the plunge and get in here and repair it yourself. I highly suggest against that. Send this camera to a service technician, any camera that you have, before you film with it for an overhaul. Alright. And also, upon you're gonna have this 3D printed, be very careful. Do not be surprised if it crumbles in your hands. This is why you want to send it to a service technician for overhaul. Again, there is a company in America who overhauls this, and that is the best thing to do. Another issue of high interest is the gear and this entire mechanism that drives the Super 8 film to make sure it runs through the gate. The weakest link is here. This little piece standing up, okay, right there at the end of my pencil eraser, is plastic. Any camera that you see when you open it up to buy one, it's really best to avoid one that's made of plastic. It sticks inside of one of these sides right here, the end of my pencil eraser, and that's what drives the Super 8 cassette and runs your film. Okay, it's best to have one that's metal. Now if you want to request to have this part 3D printed in metal, that would be wise. This part is simply very easy to take apart, but that's the part you want to do that yourself. It's not wise to service this yourself, especially if you haven't had any knowledge of doing it. Okay? So again, as flimsy this camera is, though it being very popular, it's the lens system. Although it being clear and loved, it's just cheaply made. And upon dropping it, that's the first thing the drop is going to attack. And these parts for the lens, as you can see how the glass element is housed inside of here, is going to attack. Also due to age is why the camera needs to be first overhauled. Alright? Another thing, as I've said before, if you get this camera, or any vintage movie camera, and you find that the zoom here is too difficult to move, if it moves like this, then don't move it anymore, stop. Because that means that the lubricants inside here have dried up, they're gooey, and they need to be replaced. So what's going to happen, you're going to pull this, and especially on this model, and it's going to snap and crack, if not break, the lens housing system inside of here. Okay? You're going to feel it moving slow, and then suddenly you're like, wow, that's pretty good, it's really loose now. And then you're going to look inside the viewfinder and find that the camera will not focus. So these parts and others need to be 3D printed. Alright? Yet again, refer to my videos. So there we have it, the Canon 310 XL. Is it a great camera? Well, as far as the clarity of the lens, a lot of people claim yes. However, the camera is a glass camera. It's cheaply made. As I've shown you before, you're going to have to add light seals on here like any other camera around inside the corridor, the film compartment inside, just inside the door. It has a wobbly handle, very cheap, okay? But if this is a camera that's in your price range, pick it up and get it. However, the overhaul that it's going to need from a service technician first is a wise choice, and it's going to be pricey. So keep that in mind. If you pick this up for $10 or $20 American equivalent somewhere, the overhaul job is going to cost you far more than likely. All right? But again, if it's in your price range, go ahead and get it. And true, it's easy to say that these cameras are vintage, you're going to have problems. That is for the inside workings of the camera, which this one seems to hold up pretty well. The issue here is a flimsy, thin plastic body and the lens mechanism system that sucks. And it's gonna be dropped. That's the first place it's gonna hit. And when this camera is dismantled, and if you look at my previous videos, and I told you that lens mechanism system I had in my fingers is just going to disintegrate. I hoped that it didn't, but finally it just crumpled. That's due to age, and it needs to be overhauled. That's what I'm talking about right there. Okay? Do contact me at the social media outlets provided on the screen, and remember, as always, do subscribe. Until next time, later.